Alright, welcome back to Show Me Trucks. I'm not dead, so if you were concerned about that. I just messed up my computer, so I haven't put out a video in so long that I actually don't remember where I stopped at. So I'll give you guys some updates of the 36 and the 67 that's over here. I'm not very good with technology. I have an iPhone 5, so I tried to update everything. I lost everything. I can't even get back into my computer. I don't know what I did, to tell you the truth. I deleted everything. I can't get my computer to turn on. It's crazy. Hopefully I can edit on my phone and it's not the worst. Even editing on the computer takes forever. So if this video comes out better than normal, let me know. If it comes out worse than normal, just keep it to yourself. So here is my 67 four-wheel drive frame that I've had. I'm in a temporary garage. This is not my garage. We're trying to buy a house. So I've been using this garage and I'm about to get kicked out of this garage, which is not my favorite, but you know, we're just having trouble buying a house right now. Everything's either way more expensive than California, which is crazy because we live in Pennsylvania. You wouldn't think that, but it is so expensive to buy a house out here. Anything with a garage is just double the price of the house. It's crazy. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get this frame all cut to size and tuned up ready, throw the suspension under it so I can get my cab on it so that we can, I can roll the cab and the frame and everything all together and stick it back out in the rain again, because I probably only have a couple more weeks in this garage before I'm fully out. But what I did to the frame, obviously, if you can't tell, I shortened it 12 inches, 8 inches in the rear, and just kind of cleaned up a couple things. I had to weld up some holes in the back mounts. I also had to fix, they had done a lift, like a 1 inch kind of stupid lift on this truck. So I had to cut all that out and re-weld in some pieces. And today I'm gonna flip the frame over and weld the bottom sides of those. Another downer with filming with my phone is gonna be, I'm not gonna be shooting sparks at this phone like I usually do with my GoPro and do a bunch of action shots. I need to get a little holder to hold this phone. But that's what I'm doing with the 67 frame. That's why I'm kind of working on the 67, which if you followed along, I haven't been working on the 67 for a while just because the 36 is getting semi-close. This is my 36 GMC. I built that flatbed for it, and it has a aluminum 5.3 liter in it, and my Delmo kit finally came in. Let me try to pull this off for you guys. I'm pretty excited because I've been waiting on this for, I don't even know, 6 months. We've just been having back and forth. So this kit has an intake and it hides your throttle body like a carburetor would. You're still gonna have some wiring, but whenever I'm gonna recess that air cleaner down so it kind of hides that even more. And then I'm gonna strip those fuel rails and then try to obviously tuck on my wiring super clean so that you don't have to look at it. So pretty excited. Obviously that engine is disgusting. I've been doing a lot of woodworking here lately. And I'm planning on rebuilding the whole engine and cleaning everything up, rebuild the transmission. I also got new glass for the windows and the rear glass. So I'll get to that pretty soon. But the big one that's actually been holding me up the most is these boxes. So if you can't tell on this truck, the stake bed, I'm gonna have these boxes that are kind of a little angled back at the top, kind of like a weird little bread box. And they're gonna hinge open. The other side is gonna have my gas filler, and these will just kind of be storage, probably for like ratchet straps and tools or whatever. So I've been building on these. I had to build all these frames up, and they all mount up under here. Pretty simple. I'm gonna get some of those like little nutsert things to hopefully just crimp in there so I can just bolt in that way. I wanted all the wood on the truck to be cedar, so all my bed strips back here I know I got tons of stuff everywhere. Is a cedar. The sides are cedar except for these what, like 2x3s. I couldn't find those in cedar. So what I had to do is I had to get like 3-inch boards, rip them, glue them all together, sand them all down. And then I did it wrong, and I knew better, but I kind of was rushing. But what happens is if you do a finger joint, which all these will have those little narrow finger joints like you'd have back in the 30s, you know, like a 1/4 inch instead of, you see a lot of the bigger 3/8, 1/2 inch finger joints nowadays. Obviously, I want it to look like it would be from this truck. So if you have your grain like this and you cut all those finger joints, that grain is just like a perfect breaking point for all those fingers. So I wish I had one of the ones that I made already up here, but I cut some finger joints hoping that they'd hold on, but they were all snapping. So what I did is I cut out all my pieces, re-glued new wood. So I still got some more gluing and stuff at the house. Also, I just don't have enough clamps. A million clamps. You know, I think I use 8 clamps each time I do a panel. You know, I usually let it at least dry for a couple hours before I take the clamps off, and then let it dry for a couple of days. And it all has to stay in the heat, which obviously I don't have a garage that's heated, so it's been unreal. So hopefully next week I can get back to the finger joints. Also, another issue I had is I had lost this guide for my table saw, and so I ordered this cheap, probably Chinese one, because it has like a groove in this slider, and I tried to make a slider, but it had too much play in it, and so the finger joints weren't lining up. So hopefully this helps out. Another thing I got is I got a dual master cylinder. So we'll talk about brakes real quick. So this is just, you know, your run of the line dual master cylinder. You know, like a Corvette one. Well, this is a CPP one. This has ports on both sides. It's recessed like the manual. So if you don't know much about these, a manual master cylinder is recessed so that the rod can stick in there. If you have like a power, like a brake booster, it's not recessed like that. So that way the rod can stay in there. This is what would have came on my truck. So this is a single reservoir with a bracket, which would have been nice. I still got a little bit to do because the rod on this one has like a little washer in it that lets the rod always stay in there. It kind of pins it in there. There's a snap ring in there. So I wanted a dual. If you don't know much about brakes, the reason you want a dual is because if you know, a rock or your drive shaft shoots off and cuts your brake line, at least your front lines are a whole separate circuit as your rear. So single, if you lose one brake line, you have no brakes. And I am 100% planning on getting the emergency brake cables and everything to work on this truck, even though it's tight down there. I can't wait to run the linkage once I get my mufflers in place. But I have a lot of that set up already. But I do want both of those brakes to work on this truck. This truck is gonna be light, way more power than it ever needs. But it still has little tires, so I don't plan on driving it fast, but you know, it could happen. So I got those brakes. You know, I've been using this copper line. I really like it. It bends easy. I think it looks good. It flares nice and smooth. So that's a positive. Master just came in. I've been waiting on that. Another thing on the brakes, I had to make all of this brake bracket linkage. So I wanted to use the original pedal. It hinges down here and it pulls the rod in. And then I'll climb under and show you what it looks like under, but I had to make all of this. It's all 3/8 steel. I want it really strong, obviously, so there's no flex. I I had 2 of these brake pedal setups. This one was tighter. It's kind of like a brass kind of sleeve mashed into this shaft. This one was way tighter. So what I did is I cut it. I kind of notched it the same. I went and grabbed these like 3/8 little, I don't know, washers with Allen pins in there. I don't know what you want to call those. But on this side, you can't really tell, but I welded these couplers in, and then the bolts just clamp it in, almost like your control arms in the front on like a 67, 72. I have all the hardware and stuff for this, but it's just loosely in right now. But it's kind of wide here to support it, but it's also mounted down here. It's really stiff, so that's sweet. Also, this rod, if you're wondering, is my gas pedal linkage that runs over to my drive-by-wire setup. So whenever you hit the gas, your pedal moves. Another linkage that I made was this rod was in a 1.5 ton chassis that I had. I think it's for some kind of auxiliary, almost like a transfer case, if you want to run like some farm machine or something. So what I did is I had a shaft, welded this washer on, put a little spring in. I welded these little bushings in, and then I drilled and tapped the shaft. And so this stays nice and steady in there. And then just set up all that linkage. So whenever you're in park, I'm missing some washers down here right now. That's why it's got a little slop in it, but reverse, neutral, drive, first, second. I wanted to come back as far as you could with the seat, but not stick out too far. This bracket that you're looking at is not, obviously, if you're wondering, all this stuff had to be made from scratch because the original engine, your brake pedal setup mounts to the transmission, your shifting would be in the transmission also. This is automatic. And then your gas pedal would just be a rod going up. So I had to make all this. Also, your Misc brake setup. This piece is from the original one. So I had mounted that up and welded it in place. I guess I wasn't ready to film today, but this all mounts up in here the same way. Your Misc brake has linkage that runs to the back and then Y's off for your axle. So it's gonna be in the original spot like it was from the factory. And it all sits under the floor. I'll just have one little boot that protects all that. So I want this truck to look original. If you haven't followed along, that's my biggest goal, is I want everything to look original. But obviously have a newer, nicer engine in it. Also, I got a gas pedal that eventually I need to mount on top of that one. But that was a big pain. All this linkage sucks. Trying to figure out the shifting linkage, because if you went like a 1-to-1 ratio here, that would go all the way down whenever you're going into drive. So I had to do like 2-to-1 ratio. Hopefully you guys understand geometry, but that way it doesn't move as far to shift that. So also on there, I just used the 700 R4 little shaft that goes on, and then welded a straight rod. And all this linkage is old linkage from 36. Some from this frame and some from another chassis I'd bought. So all this comes down. This is your brake pedal setup. It doesn't look too bad down here. I also painted everything that same rusty brown. I've been painting everything in this truck. So let's climb under the truck. I'll give you guys a better view. This is that linkage I was talking about. So on the side of a 4L60E, This sends all electrical signals up to your PCM. So I just cut that off, welded a little tab, and like I said, so like the distance from these two center holes is half the length of that. So now that I just got my master cylinder in, I can mount all this up. So this piece is all from the original 1.5 ton chassis that I had. This rod is from it, but basically I had to extend it because I needed to clear this cross member right here. So what I did is I had 2 of these, you know, I cut them and welded them together. This assembly is all original. You have adjustability in here, you know, from your distance to your cylinder. See how far it pushes. This is all gonna bolt out. This is 3/8. It's all gusseted underneath there, so I am not worried. It's super strong. I welded this plate to this plate, and then there's also 2 bolts that run through this bolt and that one right there. So super strong. But I did want the dual master to fit up in here. It's really tight. I'll show you that next time I work under here, but that's not today. You make a pedal assembly that just straight pushes that, but everything is in the way. I didn't want to run that. I want to run it how it was originally. So that's a pain it takes to make some of this stuff different. Now, side note, if you're wondering why my eye is red, last night I had a rough night. So I was out in the garage till about 2 in the morning, which is kind of normal. I get a late start, and then I gotta work late. Gotta watch the baby. At the end of the night, I shot a piece of metal or flap disc or something into my eyeball. Wearing my face shield, but it ricocheted all up around there and then found my eyeball, which it always does. So at 2 in the morning, I got to dig into my eyeball until about 5 in the morning. And then even though I pleaded to my daughter as much as I possibly could that we should probably sleep more, she decided she wanted to get up at 6:30. So, you know, parent life. So I didn't get much sleep today. I'm hurting by my eye. I finally got that piece of metal. I couldn't shut my eye to go to sleep, which is awesome. So yay. So my eye's a little red. Other stuff I'm working on. So I had stripped this axle down a long time ago, but I finally welded, let me flip it over. So I finally welded on some shock mounts for back here, and I put them on opposite sides like they are on newer trucks to try to help with whatever that spring flap is. These emergency brake cables are not from this truck. So this is actually like I think a Datsun brand or something like that, some kind of 4-wheel drive truck. That way it's real narrow. I think these are like square body emergency brake setup. I've already went through all the brakes lately just to clean everything up. I have 1 wheel cylinder that I might go back through and replace. I'm gonna see if it leaks or not. So that's been my main hassle on there. Another one, I don't know if I even have filmed lately when I put this bumper on, but I did decide to go with the rear bumper. I built this bracket out of the old bracket that was there, kind of trimmed it down to size. Another thing that I don't think I filmed with you guys is I had this radiator all mounted in the front. I got a fan bracket mounted, so that fan's actually gonna mount in the front of the radiator. Not my favorite because you're kind of gonna see it, but I don't have room behind, and I actually don't like them in the engine bay. Yes, I don't like it on the outside. If I had all my grill bars, maybe you wouldn't see it as much, but you are gonna see it a little bit. It's gonna be black. The radiator is gonna be black. I think once it's dark in there, maybe you won't notice it as much. So, whatever. Also, if you're buying one of these aluminum radiators, because obviously for the newer engines, you need pressurized cooling system. The pressure helps your coolant not boil as quick. So let me try to find this other piece. Oh, so here is your spout, and you're like, man, that'd be cool if that was actually mounted here. Well, when I got the radiator, and I'm sorry, I'm sure I think it's from China. It's like cheap labor, so they just throw this stuff together. I think what they had done is they had welded this angle on, and then welded it to here, which is kind of crazy. I don't know, all of it's a little crazy. So what happened is, whenever I got this radiator, you couldn't even pull this cap off. It would rotate and hit here. You couldn't even get the cap off. Well, that also doesn't let you mount it, because you can't. Well, it doesn't work, but it also doesn't let you mount it because you need a little more room right here. So I had to cut that angle. That way I can tip this out and away from the corner. I gotta re-weld that. Welding aluminum is not my favorite. I have TIG, obviously, but it's just a little more nerve-wracking, especially whenever you just bought a brand new one. But that's something be ready for. Also, you got a notch out in your grill shell on a 36 for your inlet outlet to fit. Plus, I cannot wait to find hoses to run to that engine. There's no space out there. So, if you want to go fast in one of these race trucks, you're just going to have to pay the price, I guess. But all that's pretty close. Another thing I did, man, I've been doing a lot since you guys have been gone, I guess. But this is my hood ornament. So, usually, these are radiator caps. These, go into your radiator. Well, the radiator's not set up the same. You can't even get one the same for, unless maybe you got a custom one. But these don't work. So I wanted that, obviously. I paid a ton of money for that. I think I spent $500 just on that cap. They're super rare, hard to find. I needed that to mount. Hopefully you can see in there. So what I did is I had a piece of aluminum that was about the same size. Did tons and tons of drilling, and there's a screw in there. There's 3 screws that run from the original cap into that aluminum. And then I had to tap that aluminum, and then there's a metal bar. I had to notch the original grill shell just a little bit, not anything you could possibly see, so that the bar can't rotate, so it clocks it straight. And also, whenever you tighten the Allens, it compresses. Yeah, that way everything stays tight. I just wanted to make sure it all sits straight down here, which it does, and it's tight, because I was more than anything, besides how sweet that thing looks, is I'm afraid someone would steal that, because it seems, I don't know, just dumb kids or people, adults, would steal that, and that would really bum me out, because I want the truck to look original. I think that's really cool to have, and I'm guessing anyone that does the fuel injected one and keeps that has to do that, because I haven't seen anyone with a custom. For one, it's hard to find anything on this truck, but I haven't seen anyone with a custom radiator that has that on there. So, trying to think what else I'm working on. Oh, over here, 67 axles and stuff like that. But I have been trying to work on the leather straps that hold your door on. These bolt to the door pillars, and then there's the same setup on your door. I've got this old leather at Hershey, so I'm gonna bend it and rivet it together, but I don't think the rivets are long enough, so I gotta figure out a different setup for that. But the main thing right now that I really want to get done is these boxes. I would like to bolt all these brackets down a little better. But tons of little work. This is all the work that eats up tons of time, especially like that brake setup, all that linkage. That took forever. but obviously kind of like brakes on my truck. Some more stuff that I've done. Maybe I'll climb under here for a second. Oh, 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 oh. All right, some more stuff that I've done is I painted these shocks. So I'm using these QA1 single adjustable shocks. So I painted them the same brown as like my gas tank. You know, it's a new gas tank, but it's all painted brown. And then this is a Holley fuel filter regulator. So I didn't have a mount for this. I wish it was closer to the tank, but I don't have room right here before you get to the tank. But I didn't have a mount. So actually, if you can tell what that is I had cut a connecting rod head off. It's pretty close. And then I used like a rubber gasket in between the filter and the rod. And then just welded a tab on the piston rod. Mount that to the frame. That way you can rotate that and then just tighten those two bolts. It actually was the quickest idea I've come up with in a long time, so I was pretty excited. It seems to work okay. So now what I got to do is run my fuel line all the way up to the front, and then I need to find like a splitter that splits it to the two fuel rails. So pretty excited on that. Now that my master cylinder's in, I can throw that on and run my brake lines also. I do need to go through all my brakes in the front. I've been putting that off till the end because I haven't wanted to do it. I have a feeling that I'm gonna probably need master cylinders, and I don't know if the 36s. Hopefully I can like fit in, you know, like a 3100 Chevy truck master cylinder and fit in, I don't know, some easier to find parts. Hopefully those are all the same, but I highly doubt it. They probably use some super rare, super expensive piece. So my main goal is to get the 36 done and ready for spring Carlisle, which I think is middle of April. I'm gonna try to have it totally ready, licensed, driving, everything tuned up. I'm gonna try to sell it at Carlisle. If not, if it's done earlier, it might go on eBay. It might go on Instagram. Just try to sell it before then. I'm trying to buy new tools, like more tools, to start a shop and be a little more legit. That way I can work from home a little bit more. So I do need to sell the truck. I love the truck. I really don't want to sell it. Trust me, I don't want to sell it. But I have the 67, and if I haven't explained, this is a 67 short bed C10 with my camper shell that will be a 4-wheel drive. It all has like 3/4 ton axles, and I have a 400 small block for it with a 4-speed. So that's the other truck. Plus, next day it's not windy, I will show you guys my new project. It's a 51 Chevy carryall / you know, you probably think of it as a Suburban. Big monster thing. It's just so high, and the back of it looks giant. Definitely a project. One of the first projects in a while I've had that actually has a title, so I'm kind of excited about that. But it needs the whole front end. It needs tons of rust repair, and the main reason I got it is the back actually looks nice, and it has the seat brackets in it except for the last seat. And if you just have the seat brackets, you could sell them for what I paid for the Suburban. So pretty excited because just some of that stuff just is tons of time. Finding a front end used to be really easy, but if you heard me complain about it here once, you've heard me complain about it a million times. People's prices in Pennsylvania are insane. Everything's so rusted out, and they're like $450 for a fender, and you're like, where's the rest of the fender? It's all rusted out and gone. It's so crazy. So I don't know. I'm gonna get on that eventually, and that's why I need to sell the 36 to have some money. And and try to start running this like a real business. Because the YouTube money is not what you might think. I need to produce more videos, and I'm trying to work from home so that I can take care of my daughter during the day, and have a more flexible schedule so I can be a parent and be at home more. So those are the projects I'm working on. Sorry, it's been forever to put out a video. I'm gonna have a lot more coming soon. I just gotta figure out filming on this phone and editing and trying to stare at the camera instead of over here. I don't know why. It just makes me look crazy. But we'll see how all that goes. And thanks for watching.